What's good, YouTube? Thank you for joining me for yet another episode of Cipher Knowledge with Chrissy, season 2 premiere. And I am here with my mother and my daughter, and we are going to chop it up and we are just going to have a good old time. You'll get to know a little bit more about Chrissy. I wanted to make the first episode a little bit personable so that you guys could get to know a little bit more about me. But before I go into the intros, I wanted to remind you to make sure you tune in for Around the Turnbuckle Saturdays and Sundays at 6 p.m. Home Team Sports and Entertainment Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Also, if you tune in Wednesdays on Spitting with Spitter 8 p.m. all Eastern Central Standard Time. So we got a real quick hello to M1L Media.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Hi, Brandy. How you doing? All right. So, like I said, I'm here with the girls, the ladies. We're all ladies now. I'm gonna turn it over to my mother, Maria, and let her introduce herself real quick. Mom, it's all on you.
Hi. I'm Maria, Chrissy's mom, Samara's grandma, as she calls me, Mama. Alan.
Not that, Alex.
Not that Alan, I know. But and I am a young grandmother and mother.
Great grandmother.
And great grandmother.
And a great grandmother.
She's trying to stay young as long as she can.
But that's what you're supposed to do. But anyway, go ahead, Sam.
I'm Sam, Chrissy's daughter. The person who made Maria a great grandmother. So yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram. You can follow my personal page. It's XO_Pocahontas_ or my fitness page, which is SchizoFit_.
All right. And I think I've shared that a few times, but I will share it again. Absolutely. Her and her husband do some crazy workouts, and yeah, I won't be doing them. Like, if you go look, her husband was trying to, I think, what was it? Squat 500 pounds? Yeah. It's all right. I'm good. Don't need to do that. But I want to get into the topic. So this show, like I said, we're just going to be chopping it up, basically. And we're going to have a couple of different conversations just from 3 different generational standpoints. I think a lot of it is going to gear towards parenting, but who knows? We don't know where it may end up. So I want to start off with my mom, right? Because we talk about this generational cycle, all these generational curses sometimes. But I want to take it over to my mom and ask her, what was it like being a young mom, and what did you project that for your kids? Did you expect your children to turn out the same way? So I'm gonna let you kick it off.
Okay. Well, being a young mom, I felt like I was growing up with my kids because I was 17 when I had my first. And the only thing I can say which helped it along was having experience being a mom to my younger siblings. So I kind of took on a parent role when I was 8 years old. So that kind of helped it. But at the same time, I didn't have support. There was a lot of things I didn't know. And, I always felt that going day by day, that's all I really knew. Take it day by day, because a lot of experience was not there. Just, hoping that my kids, especially my daughters, would choose a different path than I did. But because it was difficult, And then after 13 years, I was a single mom with 4. Father didn't really have much of an impact, but he did have some relationship with the kids, but still it was hard. I was a stay-at-home mom too up until my youngest was in school full time. But again, I was losing out a lot and not fulfilling what could have made my life better for them.
So let me ask you a question. What? So Melissa's what? 76. That's better. She was
70,
she's
75.
75. All right. So my mother is Russian American Indian, and she'll say Mexican American Indian. She'll always correct me with that. But and my father is Puerto Rican Cuban, so he's a very dark complexion. What was it like having a little brown baby in 1975?
Your first
As your
baby.
first baby, you a light skinned woman having her pushing a little brown baby around for that
There,
generation. What was that like?
yeah. Back then, actually, it varied on location because I did grow up in the Bronx. I did grow up predominantly in a white neighborhood when I got pregnant. Um, but it was the outer, going outside of particular locations where for the most part, I got a lot of looks. I got a lot of, little innuendos made at me, how could you, things like that. And I didn't let it bother me. I didn't let it bother me because I was already a minority myself. Because
Yeah, but
growing
you don't look like one.
that a lot of people do say that, but overall, when I grew up in an Italian neighborhood,
Hmm.
and they knew your father was Mexican American Indian, and I got shunned a lot then too. I never really felt like I belonged in any particular culture or race aspect of it. But at the most part, I could say the Bronx back then was still multiracial
Diverse.
at that
Oh yeah, it didn't.
at that time too. So it wasn't that much. I'm just going to say it was location. Where you're at is where you had to endure the prejudices.
Just yeah. We got a real quick comment. Thank you for inviting me. Yes, of course. Thank you for showing up, Maurice. So for me, being a young mom, I always say, right, that you push this baby out and they're like, don't kill it, right? I've said this often, right? You buy a TV, it comes with a manual, it tells you what the hell to do, how to work it, right? But you push your baby out and it's like, just don't kill it. So for me, being a young mom, I didn't look at, and I was younger than my mom. I was 14 when I got pregnant, 15 when I had my daughter. So when I had that one right there, that's how we look like sisters.
Jesus, don't lie to her.
No, you look like I already was told. Is that your sister? No. Yes. All right, so don't even.
Yeah, but
Take
they
the
used to say
filter
that about
off.
me and you too. But okay.
No, I don't remember any of that. I don't remember none of that. Like they knew you were
No,
my
you were too young to remember that, but it was said
okay, lady. so,
anyhow.
so for me, I had a great support system, right? I didn't even it I knew that I didn't want my daughter to repeat the cycle, right? Like it was like, all right, I repeated my mom's cycle. Now, what do I do to make sure my daughter doesn't repeat that cycle? It was hard, it was rough, it wasn't easy. I did it, without the support of her father until she was about 7. And then that was still dismal. But I remember a time when Samara and I were arguing because that's what mothers and daughters do. They argue. And she said to me, "What do you think? I'm going to turn out like you and have a kid that young?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm worried about." But lo and behold, Sam did not. She held her ground. And people say, "Oh, you broke the cycle." I didn't break the cycle. Sam broke the cycle, right? Because I was still part of that cycle. But the one thing that I am looking at generationally, right? Like it was like my mom's generation. You kind of expected to have kids at a young age. Like that wasn't far fetched, right? Even my generation was like, all right, that's not weird to have a teenage mom. That's not a big deal. But for Sam's generation, I feel like her generation kind of put a pause on that and was like, oh, hell no, we ain't having babies young. Because when I look at a lot of her friends, I see that they're still now, Samara's, 27. I still see a lot of her friends in the same age without children,
Mhm.
right? They don't have kids. They're not even married. So despite the fact that Sam didn't have her children as young as my mother and I still feel like for her generation, she had them young. So what do you think about that, Sam?
So I do see that. I recognize that a lot. And I try to determine, like, is it my generation or is it location? Like, is it that we're dealing with a different, group of children where, as opposed to dealing with, kids from the Bronx, if you look at all my friends from the Bronx, they have kids, but we're looking at all my friends from, a different part of, I don't know if you give out your location, so I'm not gonna give it
Jersey.
out.
We just say
But
Jersey.
from Jersey, maybe a better parts of town. And it's a different scenario for them. They're waiting. Like some of my friends that were even graduated grades older than me still don't have children, and I'm like, girl, you might want to get on that because time is ticking. So I mean, I do realize this is different for everybody. Me personally, I think, like, as women, for men it's different. Like my guy friends and stuff, if you want to wait till you're 99, go ahead. Like you can still have kids. But for women, I think, as much as we want to wait until, it's the right time and the perfect time and things like that, like you'll realize there is no perfect time. Like there's no right time to have kids. So it's better, obviously, if you're with somebody who, you can sit down and decide you want to have children with. Like I decided, because for years I said I didn't want kids. Like,
I remember that. And we
yeah.
used to joke.
Every
Sam,
year, Sam, I asked you on your birthday, you sure you don't want no kids?
No, I was like, decades went by and I was like, nah, no, don't want none. I might just donate my uterus to science. Like, so, but no, I ended up getting married, and my husband was hell bent that he really wanted kids, like really bad. I never knew a guy wanted kids so damn much, but I managed to get that person. So we decided to have kids, and it worked out. And every day is not easy, but every day it's a blessing to have your kids. So
absolutely. I love this podcast, family discussion. You are fortunate, Chrissy. Some families cannot speak like this. Oh, Maurice, let me tell you, if you were in the room for some of our conversations, you'd be like, all right, maybe that's a little too much conversation.
Now, as we
Like,
get older, it gets easier.
yeah.
definitely. I think so. Like I was saying, my mom's relationship and I wasn't always the greatest. And Sam's relationship and my relationship wasn't always the greatest. I think we take a break. I don't know. I think there's just things that happen with mothers and daughters. I don't know if anybody's watching and can chime in that we just kind of have but I definitely feel like I've grown closer to my mother and definitely feel like my daughter's a girlfriend to me. Like I'm telling you, some of the stuff that I would call her with, she'd be like, I know, she's like, what the hell is this woman asking me this crap for? Don't she realize I'm her damn kid?
Like, I don't
I
want to hear this.
don't want to know.
Jeez.
But I want to get into hold on. I'm here just waiting. Yeah, girl, don't worry about it. I know. I see who's watching. This I can see. And we're just getting into the conversation too. We're just gonna have this conversation. I want to talk about forms of discipline.
Yeah.
I think it is so different from a generational standpoint what discipline. I think I'm coming somewhere in the middle, but I want to start with you, Mom. Like um what was your view of discipline, and how do you view the generations behind you, like underneath you, with their discipline?
Okay. I thought about this today after reviewing the questions. And you see, growing up, I made sure I didn't get myself into trouble because your grandfather had the rope.
So you just didn't
He
get
had
caught.
that thing braided and ready to go. And your uncle was the one that got it the most. But when I would see that rope, I would be like, The most discipline I got from my father was maybe a slap on the thigh, one very seldom, but it was mainly verbal. him always trying to teach the reason why you shouldn't lie, the reason why you shouldn't take what is in yours. Now,
He was
with
ahead of his
that, right. Now, with me having my kids, the stress level was different than with your grandfather.
We got whoopings. Don't tell her
And
lie right now. It may have been
no, no,
borderline child abuse.
I admit to the fact that I did use the hand quite a bit,
The belt, the
the
extension
belt,
cord.
no extension cord.
What you
No,
talking about? All
nope, no.
right.
Maybe anything I can get my hands on, but
And then you send one of the other siblings to go get it, so the other one.
but
Okay.
um but it, like I said, it was the stress level that's what I'm saying, when it growing up with my kids and not knowing everything, with no guidance behind me on how to discipline. I only went with the moment. When I think back, I'm sorry. I apologize to all my children if I ever
No,
reacted
it
in the
kind of it becomes us, right? It becomes part of us, and then it
for
if
what we know,
yeah,
of,
You
the
never
only
got hit
way
for
we
no
know.
reason, so.
right.
That
I
thank you,
joke when
Sam.
I say reason. I definitely have plenty of reasons to.
But now what I see now, and again, it's everything to me is location, where
Mhm.
you're raised, how you're raised, because a lot of our things we do are learned behavior. So, um, but when I see different parts of Jersey, even the Bronx, certain people in the Bronx, I think parents to tend to be a little more lenient. They want to have that. I'm going to put it how I see it: society influence. You can't
Mhm.
hit your kid because now it's abuse. A
Mhm.
little
Well, let
tap
me
on the
real quick. I'm gonna add in here. It's only abuse if you leave a mark and hit them for no reason, and you continuously do it. But you definitely can spank your child. But go ahead, proceed. It is not illegal.
But that's what I'm saying, because a few parents that I see have that fear factor there, that if they tap their child right away, it's going to be considered abuse, or somebody else is going to perceive them as an abusive parent. Not
Yeah.
necessarily so, but I don't know. I think society's playing a big part these days. It's more verbal, and sometimes not even that. It's just letting the kid get by and just not explaining what they did wrong or what they said wrong. But for me, that's what I see these days.
So I think I was kind of stuck between two generations, right? Yep. Brandy, you're right. No marks and cruelty. Yep. And not the face. That's what I was told. Right?
Shit.
I think I was kind of stuck between the discipline, right? Like the spare the rod, spoil the child, and then stuck between the have the conversation with the kid, right? I think my generation was teetering between both of those because I grew up with like you did something wrong, you got disciplined, and that was it. But then the new wave that was come in was sit down, have a conversation, feel the emotions. And I'm like, what bullshit is that? Right? Oh, wait, I gotta put this one in real quick. I always got blamed for everything that beating the most. My
I
dude,
wonder
Abby!
why.
dude, though. Like I could tell stories about you. So let's not go there. But that's why. So everybody, that's my brother, my younger brother. Uh, yeah, he always got beaten and blamed, but he was always doing it. It was what it was. That's why it says what it is, right? Because it is what it is with him. But I think I was stuck between like both of those generations, and I feel like for Sam and my second one, I definitely did a lot of the whooping, right? But only if they deserved it, because Sam didn't get a lot of whoopings. Elijah, that's a whole nother story. We need another
He
hour
didn't get enough.
on this stuff, okay? And then my youngest Nathaniel, he didn't really. I can't even remember if maybe once or twice he might have got tapped on the bottom.
If that.
But
He
yeah,
needs some weapons though.
no, he
Yes, he does.
no,
He
he
yes, he
don't.
does. He is the most lazy. He needs some weapons.
So it's that whole different generation, right? Where do you feel
Yeah.
like you're at discipline with Sam?
With me with discipline, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I do both. The talking to them probably comes along with the whooping. Like, didn't I tell you? Not to-"
Good point.
Yeah, so you get 2 in 1 with me. But it helps because we have a 2 parent household. So like a lot of the times, like
Yeah.
dad will take care of the discipline, and I get to play the good guy. And they tend to like me more because of it. But they know like when they've messed up with me, or like I'm really fed up with them, or I told you to stop touching my shit, and then they'll catch it from me. But for the most part, dad usually takes care of the discipline, or like if I'm fed up with them, I'll be like, you know what, I'm just gonna call your dad, or I'm not gonna. I'll wait till your dad gets home. I'm gonna tell him what you did. I'll let you deal with him.
So I think so going into the whole discipline portion of it, right? I feel like so like I remember your grandmother interjecting into my discipline and always undermining my authority with you. Like always. Cause I lived with her, for those who don't know, I lived with my mom with my daughter when for a period of time. Obviously, I was a child with a child. And I feel like my mom would always come in and undermine my authority and that's where some of the
I would
friction.
run to mama's room. I would run to her room, run to her bed,
That's
and I'll
part
be
of the
like,
grandparents' role.
yeah,
But I
I'll be
know
No,
there's
like,
limits. I
Mom
know there's
hit
limits.
me. And she would be like, what did your mom hit you for? I'd be like, for no reason.
yeah, but your kids can't play that with me. And I
No.
think I think that because that was how it was with me and your grandmother, that for me and you, I don't overstep my authority with you. I may like after I've done it, like after you've disciplined the other girl. So my daughter has 4 daughters, right? Her husband has 2 children previous, but they're all 4 my grandchildren. So she will be really harsh with the older girls. And I'll be like, damn, I don't say nothing in front of them. But when they leave the room, I'll be like, yo, Sam, come on now. Like, you could have been a little bit easier. Like, why did you have to go that hard on them and stuff? But I won't do it in front of them because I remember the feeling I had when my mom did it with me. So I don't put that past. But I do see you a little bit softer on the smaller ones.
Because they don't know any better.
But
Like,
no, I'd be like, whoop her ass. What you mean she got to the nail polish and it's all over the floor? God damn it. Like,
so the smaller ones, I feel like they don't know any better. They're still learning, and I'm still teaching them. The older ones, y'all asses know better. Like, you've been here long enough. You know how things go in this house. When you are doing something, you're deliberately doing it. You're deliberately going against what I'm telling you not to do, or what I'm telling you to do. As opposed to the little ones, they're still figuring it out. And I mean, they get it, but just, not as much as the older ones. But as they get older, it'll be the same for them.
so I guess I need to have my brother on the show one day because I think he's in his feelings. No, I knew it was no, no. I didn't blame nothing on you that wasn't you. Like you just knew how to get caught. You and Elijah know how to get caught.
Yeah, they don't bother covering it up. EJ don't bother covering nothing up.
No, it's just like y'all two are exact. I feel like so talking about that generationally, I think we end up with one of our siblings in our womb. Like I feel like so I feel like my Elijah is an example of my brother Albie. Who do you think? Do you think the one of the little two or anything like Elijah or Nathaniel?
Who, mine?
Yeah.
God, I hope not. If I get one, it better be Nate.
But I thought he needs a whooping in his
He
league.
do need a whooping, but I'd rather deal with a lazy kid than a badass kid.
Listen. So, I guess talking about that, define like talking about the grandparents and everything. I'm jumping around a little bit. What do you think you, Ma? is your role as a grandparent, speaking from you generationally? Like what you've seen and learned, and then do you exude that same thing?
Well, I think grandparents are more like mediators between the parent and child. But we do we are more nurturing because to me, grandparents like should be or are a safe zone for the child because sometimes we have to um, we got to know our limits. That's for sure. I learned that the hard way. We definitely have to know our
I was about to
limits.
say you talking a good motherfucking game because that shit was
No,
not us.
but again, I have no problem owning up to it.
Yeah, but
But
I'm not saying that it's all bad either. Like it ain't nothing to get defensive about. But
no, I'm not. No, but that's what I'm saying. Grandparents are to me, they are second parents. But again, we're gonna go into home environment also because sometimes grandparents become the parent, not by choice, but out of need and with love for the child.
yeah,
So
but hold on, let's get because we about. I said it might get real,
that
and it's about to get real. So I hope that's not what you think how it was with me because I think that even
no,
at the age of
no.
15, I was doing my shit
No,
as
you was going to school. Remember, you had to go to school. You had to go to work. Well, you didn't have to go to work, but you choose to go to work.
I had to go to
And
work. I'm gonna feed my kid.
well, let's not go there. But at the end of the day, you work nights. I was with Sam. Sometimes Abby took over. Sometimes Melissa took over. Everybody involved themselves to a certain point. Then that's when you got her up and took her to childcare and everything. But at the end of the day, I think grandparents, again, I'm going to say it again, are mainly mediators for parents and child.
Okay.
That's just how I see it.
I definitely think that grandparents should be a soft spot, like a soft landing zone, like you said, for the kids. So that if they feel like there's something they can't talk to their parents about, it's still an adult. I think it's imperative for children to have grandparents involved in their life. That like the grandchildren to have grandparents in their life. Because so when I was trying to explain to people, people were like, "Oh, why is it? Why is it? Don't worry, guys. I see you. Good night. Good night. Why is it that grandparents are softer on their grandchildren than were with their children, right? And my answer is here's my answer. My answer is that when you become a parent, you don't know what the hell you're doing, right? It's flight or fight. You just wing the shit and you hope you get it right, right?
Mhm.
When you become a grandparent, at that point, you've learned enough in life and with raising children, what should be done and what shouldn't be done, and what the results of your actions are by looking at your children. So you kind of tend to change gears a little bit. The other part of that is as well being a grandparent, you don't have the responsibility of a parent. Right? Like, I don't have to bathe you. I don't have to feed you. I don't have to take you to doctor's appointments. I don't have to get you in bed at time. I don't have to do any of that. All I have to do is be there and be supportive. So now the stress isn't on my shoulder of where this is happening, where that's happening, because my grandparents, I mean I've raised my kids enough to know, how to raise their kids. So I think that's why grandparents are softer on their grandchildren. But I also think I feel like definitely there's a difference in grandparenting between me and you, mom, right? I feel, and I'm gonna be honest, like everybody knows me, who knows me knows this, knows that I'm gonna keep it real. So I feel like my mother wasn't as involved with my children as she could have been, but also in her defense, my grandmother wasn't as involved in my life as she should have been, right? Like I barely know my grandmother, whether she watches this or not. I'm sorry, but the truth is the truth, right? For my daughter, I think I'm like always in their face, right? What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, sometimes she calls for them, and I'm like, I'm not bothering them. I'm not waking them up, or I'm not going to, they're quiet right now. You're going to have to wait for a better time to talk to them because right now they're quiet and we are not bothering them. So,
And I feel like because of what I experienced before me, that it's important for me to be like in their face. Like I can call her on Messenger and they're already like, Grammy, Grammy, Grammy. Like they know I'm there and they know that. And that's what, and I think the other element for me too, with being a hospice nurse, I've been by the bedside of an older woman who has not one grandchild, child, or great grandchild by her bedside. And then I've been by a bedside where it's nothing but love and family all around. And that's the one I want. I want the latter one, right? I want to be there. I want that, definitely. So I want to talk about parenting and participation in the education. I think generationally it has changed. It is
Big time.
completely different. What is your views, Ma, from your generation in regards to being involved as a parent in the education?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is important. I know it's hard sometimes to be involved with every aspect of the child's education because this is going to include the work and balance and everything. Um, but even if it's just a matter of getting a daily update, because what I in helping
You know
Brandon
what?
with
What I want to know though is where you were.
generation,
Yeah, from your
where
generation, how was it?
my generation was um, do homework, go to parent teacher meeting, and everything else is up to the kid and teacher. That was how, that was how I grew up.
Okay, yeah. So my experience definitely is a little bit different than yours. I mean, I guess your perspective, right? I don't remember you coming to parent teacher conference.
I went a few times. I'm good. I admit I didn't participate
Well, there
as
was
much as I
four of us.
should have.
There was four of us. This is not mom. This is I don't want you to think this is a
No,
bash.
I'm not taking the fan.
Like,
I'm just
I'm
putting
saying
it.
for me, I don't feel like your generation found being participating in the education system was as important.
No,
Yeah,
like
like
I said,
you went to
the
school and there was
homework.
a teacher to teach
What's
the
right now? It's not as intense as it is now.
right.
Now it's like parents are like what 80% involved, if not more.
Eight parents now. I don't know, Sam. You can tell me.
it's
I feel like
bullshit.
no.
it's, it's bullshit.
I
This
feel like maybe you're not because of who raised you, but I feel like parents now blame the teachers for everything.
Oh, that's true.
Like everything's a damn teacher's fault.
this whole me becoming the teacher, yeah, I'm blaming you for everything because first of all, I'm doing your job right now and I'm not getting your salary. So that's a problem. And no, yeah, I'm gonna I don't blame the teacher for everything, but I feel like these teachers are, maybe it's location, because I feel like the teachers do slack. Like, don't tell me on assignment 7 that my daughter hasn't turned in any assignments. How about you tell me on the first assignment, maybe assignment 2? You didn't think maybe by the 4th assignment you should tell me that she didn't turn anything in? Like, so yeah, I'm gonna blame the teacher for that.
But I think that's where it goes, right? Like you're kind of a lot like me and you. Hold on, I want to throw this in there. Hey, Susie, thanks for watching, by the way. 100% correct. My mom never came to none of my parents. Shit, your mom and my mom wasn't there. We was in the same school. I know. Like, Susie.
No, it's because we had the parent teacher conference when we went to pick you up and spoke to the teacher. That was our conference.
Yeah, but like so like Sam, I think the reason why they're not telling, right, like you, that all of this other stuff, right, yes, Susie, you were saying, yeah, we did a lot of stuff, but we won't go there. Don't tell my secrets. So I think they expect the parents, because more the parents are involved now. So they're expecting us to log on, because I still have the 14-year, right? They're
Mhm.
expecting us to log on and look at what assignments are missing.
Yeah, no, that's your
Right.
job. You're the teacher. You log on. You see what assignments are missing. You tell the parents.
But you
That's your
see, that's
job.
where you belong in mama's generation.
Yeah, no, I don't get paid
Because
to log on. That she's in school, not me. I did school. I graduated. I got 2 degrees. I'm done. You tell me what she needs to do, and I'll get it done. That's your job. You get paid for that. I don't get paid for that.
so Brandy says we could do better on both sides. See, Brandy's a teacher. That's why she's like,
Wow.
hold on, y'all not allowed to bash me. But I feel like so with Sam and Elijah, so Susie agrees with you. Susie, do you remember? Look at Sam now, right? Like she was a baby when you saw her. I know, I'm sorry, I'm digressing. So with you and Elijah, I went to parent teacher conferences. Like I did all of that. But by the time Nate, I was fucking done. I was done. I was done. I went, but then I think also Nate's a good kid and he gets his work done and he gets good grades. So there's not, you know, not that much that I have to work with him. But I definitely did it because I know I didn't see my mom there at the meeting. So I wanted to make sure that I was there. But I definitely think the generation now, they're a lot more involved. I think you're just old school, Sam.
Maybe.
Girl,
Yeah.
how do you think I feel?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a few parent teacher conferences, and I mean, it could have been a phone call. Like, it's not something that
Yeah.
was,
I
you
mean,
know,
back in the day, the teachers would call,
yeah.
so it made it
They
easier.
definitely called when we cut out of school and you had to delete that shit off the answering machine. That was a
Yeah,
whole
remember when I had to lock up the phone?
listen. I remember when there was no fucking caller ID. How about that? There's
Sam, in a metal cash box, I had to drill a hole to put the wire
Yo, she
and
put
put
a
the phone in there,
payphone in the
and they
house.
still found a way to.
Payphone.
Yo, she put a payphone in the house. She put a damn payphone in the house. And we got time. And that shit wasn't cheap. It was a quarter. You go outside and use a payphone, it was a dime. Like it was
Go outside and use the phone then.
you still couldn't go outside, you know? The people caught me. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So I think that's where it is with education. I think
Yeah.
that's where kind of just it is changed generationally. I also do think it is, like you said, regionally, right? Where we're at out here in Jersey. It's a different. I remember when we first moved out here, and I went to the elementary school and they were talking about because I went to a meeting. It was a PTA meeting, and I went there and they were talking about how there was only going to be one computer in each classroom, and all the parents were in an uproar. And I was like, shit. Like they said one computer in the classroom, or they said one computer in the whole school, because like if I go back to the Bronx, I'm lucky if we got one in the whole damn fucking school.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But they were talking about one computer in the class. So it's definitely different as far as regionally. And I do think that out here, they do participate more. The parent, like, I am not a PTA mom. That is not me.
Mm-mm.
That I am not clicky. I don't do that thing. It is not me. Um, but so what do you think from your generation, mom, is something that is great that should have continued, is continuing, hasn't continued, and then what do you think from your generation is one of the things you're glad to see go?
I think what I miss is seeing neighbors look after other people's kids. You grew up
Except for
and
the African lady down the block that tried to hit one of your kids and you were going to beat her ass.
don't touch my kids. What
But
happened with what happened? Look what happened with
how do we
Lilu.
work as a team? But how do we work as a team? But go ahead, I'm gonna let you
Look,
finish.
you know what happened with Lilu. Anyhow, um, but no, for the most part, the neighbors now it's don't touch my kid, don't talk to my kid like that.
She can say
It's
that
like
shit. But go ahead. Go ahead.
who?
Nothing, mom. Go ahead.
But no, I think I miss, just everybody participating, looking out for each other's kids. It's like they say, one child, it takes a village to raise a child. And people are just too afraid now to get involved with another person's child. Um, and it really did. I think it helps. It helps, look at what happened with Shannon and Haywood, and,
Can
it's
you stop
just,
naming names, please? Like, I don't want to get sued.
you
Like,
know, but overall, it's just community working as a team and trying to make the best, keeping the best for everyone's child.
so,
I
and
mean,
what do you
parents
think?
used to say your kid did this, your kid did that. Now they're too afraid because then it's gonna create a whole
Listen,
different snare. Again, location here in the Bronx. That's what it is. You're afraid to tell a parent something.
so, but that's what you're saying from generation now, right? I'm talking about what from. So you're saying from your generation back then, you would
From
love
my
to
generation,
have
oh
that time
yeah,
where you could
oh
discipline somebody
yeah, I
else's
had
child and
this.
it not be an issue. What do you think
It
from your generation? You're glad to see go.
My generation.
That you're glad to see go.
Oh, I got to get back to you
All
on
right,
that
think
one.
about that while we answer Albie. As a parent, you're their first teacher. School is always should have just been a tool. So school should be a
Sounds good until you trying to bust your ass at work, bust your ass at home, and be a teacher and a mom and a wife and everything and a chef sounds good. No, that bitch get paid to be the teacher, not me.
Now, do you see why she is my child? She gets it honestly. There's no qualms about that. All right. So, for my generation, what I think is one of the good things is definitely, it took me a long time to be okay with it, but allowing children to have an opinion, right? Like that was something that we didn't get to have in your generation, mom. We couldn't have an opinion. We couldn't have a thought. We were a child and that was it. And we were expected to be a child. So I like that in my generation, we started to come to terms with that and be okay with allowing opinions and thoughts and feelings to be expressed. What I'm glad to see go is um, the unnecessary beating, and that goes hand in hand, like just the always, it's always quick to the hands, quick to the hands. I got my fair share of whoopings. Did I deserve 95% of them? Yes. I mean, I remember one time my mom was whooping me and I just looked at her and she looked at me, she was like, yes, and I was like, are you almost done? And she was like, why? I said, because pain is temporary, and once you're finished, the pain is gone. And she just like gave up at that point. She was like, I'm done. Like, you're grounded. Go to the room. So, but that was one of the things that I hated was the getting hit. But yet I still transferred that and did that to my kids. And it took me a little time, but I got comfortable with that. What do you think, Sam? You're glad to see go from my generation and what you think would have remained?
I don't even know what they say. What look oh
How good I turned.
um um glad to see go. I mean, has that much really changed? I don't really know. Um I wouldn't say no. I mean, yeah, I don't really think that much has changed that I can say that I'm glad to see one thing go or another. Um
It
things
doesn't
that
even have to be from a parenting perspective. It could be
yeah.
from a marriage perspective. It could be from a gender role perspective.
Um yeah, I don't
I
know.
think I think you still live in the 50s gender role.
You think
Though
so?
you and your husband, you're very you yes, yeah, do I think so?
I don't
I
know.
I think you guys definitely portray the father role, mother role, wife role, husband role. Like I
Yeah.
think you guys definitely have those gender roles defined as they were back in the 50s, whereas it's not traditional anymore.
Yeah, so I guess I can't say that I'm glad to see anything go because nothing has really gone for me. It's the same. I mean, yeah, like typically I do the house stuff. He does like the outside the house stuff, or he'll do like the building and fixing, and I'll do the cooking and cleaning. And then like, if I'm really feeling like trash or something, then he'll like cook. Or if we're doing an event together, then we'll both cook or something like that. Or if it's my birthday, like he cooked everything that day. So but for the most part, yeah, we're like we have distinct things that
Very
we do.
traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm so fucking opposite. It's not even.
That's because you order out all the time. Nobody has to
Stop
cook.
the lying. Stop the lying.
Well, that
Where's Nate?
She's lying.
that may be changing soon, so who knows?
That is a
Oh,
lie. I cook.
it's not she gonna change. They're just gonna upgrade to drones and drop your shit on your doorstep for you. That's it. Quicker
I cook.
service.
But, I've been a single mom for a while, you know, and it's hard. Two jobs, the podcast, the cooking, the cleaning, if I could skip one thing, Mom, can you stop tapping the damn phone?
Oh, sorry.
The cooking, it just becomes a lot. Like, so
Yeah.
I order out. But let me tell you, this freaking COVID-19 that I gained back, yeah, no more ordering out for me. Like, we not doing that shit. Not at all.
I'm I mean, and for us, I guess it helps because I have the two older ones. I have my two older daughters, and they help. Like, we got them when they were really young, so we were able to teach them, how to do everything, how to cook, how to clean, how to do all of that. So if I need some extra help, they help me. If I don't feel like cooking dinner that night, they make dinner, or they do they usually do their own breakfasts and lunches, and that's the other good thing about having kids early, because I'm not gonna be 50 cooking breakfast. Make your own.
Well, that was definitely a benefit. So here's the benefit with me having you early was that, and even with Nate being 14, he's self-sufficient. I'm
Yeah.
42. I still have my whole life ahead of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like one of the positive things with being a young mom is now I look at some of my girlfriends that have babies, like
Yeah.
toddlers, and they're my age, and I'm like, whoo, whoo, I'm about to go on a cruise. Where you going? Daycare? I like, like
Yeah.
I'm past that. I'm done with that. So yeah, I grew up with you guys, but I mean, I think we kind of make it work, right? When you know better, you do better. And when you're in a situation, you just gotta kind of figure it out and
Mm-hmm.
make
Yeah.
it work. You
Yeah.
Yeah,
know,
you just go through the day, however you need to get through the day.
Mm-hmm. So
That,
that's
at
the
least when I,
benefit.
like I said, I felt like I was growing up with you kids, and
I don't know how
I
you
I
did that as a
I
Virgo,
asked
because
myself a lot of times too, how did
because
I
I
do it?
cannot live day to day. I don't know how you did that without like I did it for a short period of time because I had no choice but to live day to day, and it drove me like insane. Like I was depressed every day because there was no, like, I didn't know what was gonna happen next. Like I was just taking it as it went, and like that is the worst, most disgusting feeling ever. Like as a Virgo, like we're super planned, organized, we need to
Now
know
I
what's
am.
next. Yeah, like I need to know what's next. Yeah, like, yeah, but no, I'm
Yeah.
not leaving until you tell
Albie,
me
you
where
hear
what's
that?
going on.
Albie,
see,
Albie.
oh yeah, he's like, mm. Wow, Brandy. You see, I like there's pros and cons to all of it, right? It all where you're at in your life also makes the difference as well.
Absolutely.
Like it just kind of fell in my lap. Well, not well, like tripped and got me pregnant. Like right, so like it was an accident, kind of thing, But so like I kind of just rolled with the punches, and it was what it was. And
Mhm.
then it kind of, but then after I had her, I didn't have Elijah till 7 years later, and I mean, there's pros and cons with that too. Like I learned my lesson, you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah.
that I'm not
Yeah.
looking forward. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah, Brady
Not to
said
the
too. She's
kids.
not doing that baby stuff
Yeah, like
all
I'm
over
not.
again.
They need, if we're gonna get them done, let's go. That's why rain and air are like, let's get them out because y'all all gonna get out at the same time too.
The only positive, which didn't even work out for me anyway, was saving for college, right? Like being able to save for college. But you paid for college yourself, so that
Yeah.
kind
Oh
of
yeah. We didn't even talk about that. That's what I wanted to talk about as far as the I'm going on the trip with you.
yes. Let's go, girl.
As far as the involvement in education. So yeah, like as far as like the kids' grades and stuff like that, I'm definitely on top of them about their grades. But as far as every little tedious assignment and stuff like that, I feel like that should be up to the teacher. But something that I feel like I'm gonna be more involved in that you weren't necessarily involved in is the whole college process, because you didn't necessarily go through the college process. So like when I was in high school, in my junior year and senior year, like a lot of people, they were going on college tours with their parents and stuff like that. And they were applying for colleges, applying for scholarships, and financial aid and things like that. So I didn't know how to do any of that, and I was like, aren't you guys doing this kind of early? Like, what is that? Everybody doing? Sorry, my light is trying to give me a seizure. Okay. So yeah, I ended up just doing community for 2 years, and then getting accepted to university and everything. But I think that's something that I would definitely be more involved in with my kids now, because I know how it works. I know how they're supposed to do it, and I could give them the advice that I didn't have when it came to college.
Well,
Definitely.
that's the thing about generations. We all take something we didn't have and try to pass it on to our children.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I definitely didn't know shit about college until
Mm.
like I started college, what, 6 months before you started college?
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, like
Just about.
we were in
Yeah.
college in the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't because I started younger, but I went to a community college, and then I ended up stopping and still ended up in a community college, which worked out for me. But I don't know what those tours are. I don't know what any of that is. And I still don't know what it is. And Nathaniel's not that far away. So that's
Right.
still something. So you can help your brother. Practice with your brother.
Ask Tita Kimberly because
Oh
she
yeah.
got all the answers. That's
Yeah,
who I go
because
to.
that stuff, and I think that's just kind of what happens generationally, right?
Hmm.
Like we either learn something from omission or we learn something from experience. Um, so I know what I wanted to do as a parent because of what you did, and I also knew what I didn't want to do as a
Right.
parent because of what you did. So I'm gonna because we're almost heading to that hour mark. What I learned from you, despite our qualms and everything and our issues that we had growing up, what I learned from you was that I had to be responsible, I had to work, and that I wasn't going to have things handed to me. So say, as far as daycare, when you were watching Sam and stuff like that, I had to pay for my daycare. You weren't going to allow me. You said to me, if you wanted to be a woman and lay down, you now have to be an adult, a woman, and be a parent. So I know when I tell some people this story, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, you got charged for daycare, like from your mom and stuff like that." And oh my God, I can't like. But that for me was a learning lesson, right? Because that taught me my responsibility and what I had to manage as a parent, right? So that's what that's definitely what I learned and valued from you being a young mom and having to experience that and do that on my own. Um, what I knew I didn't want to do is not be an active grandparent. So those are the two things that I got. So by omission and by experience. What did you, Sam, learn from me by omission and experience?
Well, I knew that I didn't want to be a young mom. And I definitely knew that I didn't want to be a single mom. Like there was just because that just, it leaves a lot of it puts a lot of burden on your older kids. Like, and even now, so I'm not a single mom, and like my older kids do a bunch of work. I could imagine if I was a single mom, what their life would be like. So I definitely knew I didn't want to do that. But over time, I did learn that giving a child no responsibilities is not a good idea either. So it's always, like finding that happy medium, that happy balance, because ultimately childhood is temporary, and some parents look at it like, oh, they should enjoy their childhood years and things like that. But like me and Keith say all the time, like, they're only going to be a child for but so many years, and then they have to be an adult for the rest of their life. Like, you're not doing them any justice. You're doing them a disservice by letting them play and be kids, and then when they turn 18, you're like, well, why don't you have a job? Why don't you do this? Or you need to grow up and things like that. So you give them responsibilities and stuff like that. So I guess that was one of the things. And then what I did learn is that I learned to lead by example, for my kids. So we didn't necessarily have a lot of talks about, like, bills and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know what the bills were, and I didn't know how much they cost. I just knew that they cost money and you paid for them. And like every now and then I would see, like, your calculations laying around and stuff like that. But I was like, well, I'm sure as hell not paying that much for a light bill. So, but things like that. So I took that, and instead of keeping it a secret from the kids, or keeping it like, this is, adult business, you don't need to worry about it, I talked to them about the light bill. Like, hello, the light bill is $200 this month. That's not okay. The light bill should be this much. This is how much it should be. That means that somebody is not shutting off the lights when they leave the room, or you guys, is the attic light on? Is it? So things like that. And talking to them about their first apartment and how much things cost. Because when I first moved out, I was asking my manager and like my coworkers, like, how much is your light bill? Like, about how much is your car insurance? So like, and I would just gauge things like that. And I was fortunate enough to have like the internet and stuff like that. So I would look things up that way, and just kind of figured it out. But I tell the kids now, and it halfway is to scare them. So that they think, you're just gonna move out and have it easy. It's not the case, but it's also so that they can be prepared when they do decide to leave. Because unlike you, I don't want them here forever. Like, you can get your social security. I had to steal my social security number. You can get your social security number.
I did not want my kids. Let me tell you, when she was 16, right? And I guess this goes back to the whole thing, right? When she was 16, she wanted to work. And I was like, no, don't work. Enjoy your childhood. I'll pay for everything you need. I didn't have a childhood. You enjoy your childhood. You go out. She was like, what? She stole her social security card, went and applied for a job, got her job, started working, saving her money, and on her 18th birthday, moved the fuck out. Okay, like, she was determined. Like, that was.
Yeah.
I do want my kids to stay in the house. I don't want them to go. Like, like, it's that whole no, And now that Nate's 14, just turned 14, I'm like, oh Jesus, like, I'm about to be an empty nester. Well, I don't know. He might be here till he's 35. So, so that may not be a case. But you just taught me something. So thank you for that. I definitely did keep the bills a secret because I felt like it was adult business. Like, why do you need to know what that is? Right. But you just opened up my mind to a new idea of maybe they should see my spreadsheet. Maybe Nate should see my spreadsheet. Although he's very conscious. I will say he's very conscious about finances. But lesson
It's the
learned.
reality of it, Chrissy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
He said,
reality.
how about being 16 with my apartment and now teaching and raising my little brother? Yeah, you're right. You did that. You did that. But this isn't about that. This you definitely did that. So we are heading to that hour mark. And Mom, is there anything that you want to say before we go?
I just want to say that I'm glad that however things worked out, it was always a learning experience for every one of us. There was trials and tribulations, rough spots and whatever. But like I said before, we take what we know, and we only wish that our children can make and do something better. That's all I ever wanted for you kids.
I think
Be better, do better. And I think for each generation, that's how it should be.
And what about you, Sam? Anything you want to say?
No, I think we pretty much wrapped it up. Was there a question in particular? I
Not
was
anything. Like, you know, anything. Like,
great
mom,
job, guys.
mom, you're so amazing. Thank
Not
you
even
for
close. That didn't even
oh,
graze
She
my
doesn't do it
grandma.
to me, Sam, either. So you see what I mean?
praise. What you talking about? I said
What praise?
the teaching me responsibility.
Yeah.
I said you taught me by you led by example, and that I
Oh,
used
that
that.
wasn't clear. I just needed to hear it again.
Jesus.
Listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, chiming in, commenting. Thank you so much. You know, it is going to be Cipher Knowledge will be exclusively on YouTube. And this is where you're going to be able to see me every Sunday, 8 p.m. Although I do have a show next Saturday. Next Saturday, I have a medical doctor coming on, Dr. Sabra Wall, and he is an obesity and lifestyle board certified doctor. So we will be talking about nutrition and healthy you, and it's a new year, healthy me. So I think it's a great way to start off the year. And then Sunday, I have Cesar Nunez coming on, who is a deported veteran. He served our
Yeah.
country in the Marines. And then, you know, he came in here when he was a young child at 2 years old, and came in under the Dreamers Act, and unfortunately fell into a little bit of uh, the illegal activity that wasn't the biggest thing in the world. Okay, like, and you'll hear his story, and was deported back to Mexico. But he was. You can catch his story on Immigration Nation, um, episode 3. So you can definitely see there before he comes on Sunday. Thank you again, Susie. Appreciate it. Love you too, Brandy. So that's gonna be like a very heavy conversation, but I think it needs to be had. Fortunately, he got the waiver signed and he is back in our country living.
Awesome.
So
Great.
that is
That's
an
good
amazing
news.
that happened. But there are still other veterans out there that are still dealing with this
Yeah.
that we need
A
to, you know,
shame.
I feel like the word deported should never come before the word veteran. If you served our
Exactly.
country, then if and you've done something, then you serve the crime here. And depending on what it is, wait till you hear what the little crime was. Like, it wasn't even,
Yeah.
you know. But I'm gonna leave you with my slogan. What would I leave at the end of every show? Which is, if all you've experienced is all you know, then you are in a deficit of knowledge. Remember to watch Saturdays and Sundays around the turnbuckle, 6 p.m. Then you've got on Tuesdays, Home Team Sports and Entertainment, 6 p.m. And on Wednesdays, you've got Spitting with Spitter at 8 p.m., all Eastern Standard Time. So listen, thank you again so much. I appreciate everybody coming in, chiming in, like I said, and I will see you next weekend. One love.